Springfield Township is a small town by most modern standards. The 2020 census numbered its population at 17,178. Located in the state of New Jersey and, as of writing this script, 231 years old. From the Revolutionary War to the PGA Championships, it's fair to say this town has seen most things. A former rock quarry is also located in Springfield, and it was here, in 1972, that a local student would be found deceased on the cliff inside Howdale Quarry, known locally as the Devil's Teeth. One of 8 siblings born to Salvatore and Florence DePalma, Jeannette came into this world on the 3rd of August 1956. Owing to her Italian background, Jeannette, like her brothers and sisters, was raised in a religious household, known to be devoted to her faith. Jeannette had expressed interest in attending Trinity Bible College in North Dakota. I did see stories that the family's faith, being evangelicals, might have put them at slight odds with some of the people of Springfield, which was predominantly a Catholic area. Despite some possible religious differences, Jeannette seemed to be well liked by her peers, described by some as kind, funny, and a good friend. 4 days after her 16th birthday, she would go missing. In the early afternoon, she left home telling her mother she was headed for the train station to meet a friend in nearby Berkeley Heights, although this might have been her cousin Gail. Either way, this would prove to be the last reported time Jeannette was seen alive. Instead of getting the train, DePalma would actually attempt to hitchhike the 8-mile meeting point to her friend or cousin. Now, I wasn't able to find anything that detailed what happened in those intervening hours of Jeannette leaving until her parents phoned the police that night. Did whoever she was planning to meet raise an alarm, or did they simply think Jeannette wasn't coming? After all, this was a time before mobile phones and the easy instant communication we all enjoy today. What doesn't help is that no one story is fully corroborated. Even just who she was going to meet isn't agreed upon. As mentioned previously, it seems to be a friend or her cousin, but some suggest she was actually going to work. If meeting somebody was her end goal, whether by train or hitchhiking, the fact that she refused a lift and wanted to walk would suggest that maybe Jeannette wanted to stop somewhere on the way. Somewhere that maybe she didn't want her parents or a kind neighbour knowing. Of course, that's purely speculation. It is even possible that she simply wanted to walk to enjoy it. From what I can see, Springfield looks to have a nice mix of wooded nature. I think I'd happily go hiking out there on the way to a friend's house. In the late evening, with no sign of Jeannette, her parents phoned the police. I'm not too well versed on police procedure for missing people, less so when it comes to 1970s America, but the response to listing her as missing appeared slow. Supposedly, over the next few days, there seemed to be little response or engagement from the police. That might have even cast doubts in the family's minds as to whether Jeannette was missing at all. She could have run away from home, though from what I could glean, this would seem quite out of character. It would not be until 6 weeks later that Jeannette DePalma was seen again, and unfortunately for her and her loved ones, it would be her deceased body that was discovered on the 19th of September 1972. Nearby to the Devil's Teeth and Howdale Quarry, a dog would startle its owner by retrieving Jeannette's right arm. Within hours of this, a search party would discover the rest of her decomposing body. Jeannette DePalma had been found, and the investigation into her death could take place. Initially, because of the state of decomposition, there was uncertainty as to how she had even died. There was no obvious damage to her remains that might lead an autopsy to find the cause of death. From what I can see, besides suspicious, the general consensus seems to be strangulation. From the moment her body was discovered, rumours began to swirl about the occult, black magic, and Satanism. The first responders would be the ones to start this, hinting at occult objects found around her body and that she had even been placed on an altar. This only led to fanciful speculation of human sacrifice. You can imagine how well this would be taken in a devoutly Christian part of the world. One newspaper article I saw, on screen now, says that the police found signs of sacrificial ceremony and devil worship. A murder of a local teenager would be enough to rock a small community, but salacious rumours of sacrificial witchcraft only fanned the growing media frenzy. If trusted members of the police department were leaking details about the crime scene, it wasn't long before other pillars of the community would get involved. Pastor James Tate would seemingly be at the forefront of this, pushing ideas and theories about what happened, with one even suggesting that Jeannette had come across a group of Satanists and had been murdered for trying to teach them the ways of Jesus. Quite a bold claim with little to no evidence at all. As you can imagine, trying to decipher what is real and what is not about this tragic event is hard. Reports of pieces of wood placed at the scene were symbols, that fallen logs had been placed about her body to resemble a coffin or an altar, and that there was even a pentagram present. Although, as far as I can see, there was never an official verdict that any of this more nefarious theorizing was released. It was all hearsay and whispered rumour. Tate is quoted as saying, "The logs and branches were supposedly arranged in a manner that would have indicated occult symbolism and perhaps human sacrifice." I'm still not quite sure how and when this man was at the crime scene. No doubt he heard it from one of his parishioners. With very little evidence from the body to go off, it is no surprise that the police had a very small list of suspects. A homeless man that lived in Springfield and known to frequent the nearby woods seems to have been at the top of their list. Known locally as Red, he is believed to have worked at the nearby golf club, and his campsite was close to where Jeannette's body would be found. It was reported that as soon as the body was found, Red fled the area, resulting in a police bulletin stating that he was wanted for questioning. Eventually, in 1973, Red was found and questioned but ultimately released without charge. Red Kira, as he was also known, seems to have been the only real lead and suspect. Perhaps this uncertainty, paired with the fanciful stories, really allowed the imaginations of the local God-fearing town to run wild. Had the police identified, arrested, and charged somebody early on, I don't doubt that there would be half the rumours about what had happened, and half the publicity too. Other results from the autopsy revealed a high level of lead in her system, though this is believed to have been a result of how long she had been laying on the ground. Sexual assault was also deemed inconclusive. The lack of another person's hair in the genital area was evidence enough to possibly rule that out, and any other stains on her clothing were too degraded to be proven as blood or semen, and then DNA tested off the back of that. As mentioned earlier, I'm not too familiar with how police investigations work. However, this one does seem odd. The almost instant, unofficial, stories coming from authorities about the occult is one thing, but the possible cover-up is another. Perhaps cover-up is not the right wording here. That would suggest intentional hiding of evidence, or faking of evidence, though it does seem that the Springfield Police Department did, knowingly or unknowingly, lose the case files on this for a time. Supposedly, in the wake of a hurricane and flooding in 1999, all or most of the evidence and records on Jeannette DePalma were destroyed. However, rather miraculously, after years of pressure and requests, these records were found and released in 2021. As part of the mass release of files came the crime scene photographs. As you will be able to see on screen, and even to the untrained eye, there is little to no evidence of any occult symbols or evidence of satanic human sacrificial altars. In fact, the area around Jeannette's body could be anywhere that's wooded. Not only is there no visible evidence of the occult, there is no physical evidence. There were meant to be things hanging from trees or carved into nearby trunks, and of course the altar or coffin itself. None of this is present. Jeannette's bag was also found very close to her body, and all its contents too. Perhaps there was some money missing, and even the bag itself. But what is agreed upon is that the bag's contents and everything she left her home with that day was found, although her cross necklace was missing. If there is no conclusive evidence to suggest how she had died, what happened, sadly, I think that will remain a mystery unless somebody comes forward. There are theories of drug overdoses as Jeannette and her sister had recently gotten over drug problems that had been overcome through their Christianity. I wonder whether James Tate had a hand in this story, and one that I find particularly interesting about an accidental shooting. The police department's shooting range is, or was, near to where Jeanette's body would be discovered. Is it possible she might have wandered too close during an exercise? I mentioned the police cover-up earlier, and the investigation has been dogged by such allegations to this day. It seems plausible that a member of the police department might have been involved, which led to an ensuing cover-up, though it can be easy to get lost in the weeds with conspiracy theories, especially ones that paint the government and government agencies in a negative light. If DePalma was murdered, which definitely seems to be the consensus, it is most likely her killer, or killers, will never be known and might even still be alive today. Maybe it was a chance mugging or an attack on a vulnerable girl. Perhaps she is but one of many victims of a serial killer. Richard Cottingham is a possible suspect on that front. Or maybe, as with so many cases like this, she even knew her killer. With an unsolved case such as this, with elements going from the occult to inept police investigations, you can definitely take any angle you like and run with it. Ultimately, a young woman's life was lost, and the how and why will, most likely, remain unknown.